It's time to review one of my favorite Highland whiskeys I've had to date, Edradour 13 Chardonnay Matured. Hey guys, welcome back. Another Edradour for you, and you know I love these guys. So, this one is straight from the cask, coming in at 60.7% alcohol, aged 13 years, matured in Chardonnay. Distilled in 2008, bottled 2022. This is a hard-hitting, dry, fruity, grainy whiskey. Edradour makes absolutely incredible whiskey, and this one is no exception. Hope you enjoy the review. Let's get right into the nose. Cheers. Now this nose should be very different from my last few whiskeys, so let's see what we got. Oh my goodness. It literally smells like mimosas. You got the citrus, you got the grapes, you got the dry white wine, champagne, sparkly stuff going on. That is awesome. It honestly just smells like brunch without the eggs. This is so good. It makes me really want to just get more notes. It's very bright, it's very floral, it's got some mint and some cloves, and I know there's some underlying sweetness in there. Let's see if we can find it. There's a smidge of vanilla and caramel hiding underneath of that, but it is just really, really citrusy. Those green grapes really come out. They actually kind of get a little sweet. I know Chardonnay is a dry wine, but the grape that I'm getting here is a very sweet grape. This is bringing in sweet, dry, combining them really well. And I don't actually love wine, but putting it in my whiskey, I actually tend to love it, at least right now, because this nose is awesome. Let's do one more. Yeah, this is a great one. I'm getting a little bit of that raisin cereal notes here as well, as you would normally expect from a Highland, but just overall, a very well balanced, pretty complex nose. I'm gonna nose here 4.5. This is a nose I haven't had in a while. All my noses recently have been very sweet, very dark, or smoky, but this one, it's very bright. It's like a sunshine. It's very floral. A lot of nice, dry, fruity things going on, and that's great. And the color is nice as well. The color is a little more of like a coppery amber. So that plus the nose just adds to the good presentation here. So this nose makes me want to drink this whiskey. So 4.5 for the nose. Let's see what the palate is. Quick leg check. We got our Edradour. They're usually pretty syrupy and pretty dense. Yeah, those are slow legs. I love Edradour. Cask strength, viscous, just amazing. But they are hard to find. But let's see what this palate is. Very viscous. Honestly, mimosas. A lot of orange juice now. Like, that's a carton of Florida orange juice, some grapes, a little more dryness, some tannins. The grain notes I got from the nose kind of gone here, replaced by some really nice apples. Honestly, if you go back to my Starward Nova review, this is an Australian whiskey that was in red wine. I said it was like a apple pear orchard. Seriously, right here. This is just really, really fruity, really bright and poppy. It doesn't have any of those like dark sweet notes I've had in the past few reviews. Really like wakes you up, gives you a little pep in your step. A little bit of pepper here, you know, just a little bit of spice. Not a whole lot. It's that oak spice. I mean, 13 years in a barrel. It's gonna get a little spicy. Oh man. I mean, this is phenomenal. It honestly, if you ever had New Year's and you open up those Welch's sparkling grapes, boom, right here. Seriously, a lot of grapes, a lot of apples, really, really fruity. Much more fruity and a little less dry on the palate than I had on the nose, but this is super good. And the finish is starting to get on the edges of my tongue here. It's not on the front or the mid. It's settling more on the sides here, which I think is cool. It seems like most whiskeys have a different way of settling when they come into the finish, but this is really dry, and it's hot while sitting here, but it's not hot in a bad way. I'm getting kind of that like cherry bourbon syrupy maraschino that I get on some of my bourbons, and I think alongside that grape, I'm going to just verify one second. Alongside that grape is a little bit of like banana bread, but there's one thing that ties this all together. And on the back end of every sip I've had is a little bit of a charcoal rubbery note. And that sounds bad, but it's not, because if I didn't have that, it'd be a little too sweet and too bright, and it wouldn't be able to counteract each other. But that little bit of like ashy charcoal rubber note that I'm getting on the back of my throat on every sip ties it all together. It's that like bind that's like, You want the dissonance, kind of like in a musical. You don't want anything to always just sound the same. You need that little thing in there to be like, oh, that's different. And that's what balances this whole thing out. That, I think, note specifically makes this is a 5 palate for me. Super warm, super good, just really long lasting as well for the finish. We'll get to the next part, but just an incredible experience. Edradour, honestly, you guys make awesome whiskeys. I know you're small and you're hard to find, but if you can find them, I keep speaking highly of them. Find Edradour. They are so good. Probably one of my top 5 favorite distilleries in Scotland right now. So let's see what the finish is. Gonna surprise nobody, but I'm gonna give the finish a 5. It is very long lasting. It is very flavorful. You get a lot of those notes off several minutes after you take your sip. And it's very dry. When I do drink wine, I enjoy Chianti. So the dry notes I'm getting from this Chardonnay finish is good for me. I'm not a sweet wine guy. I don't like the Rieslings that much. I don't like the Moscatos. But a dry finish, we can get off the citrus, a little bit of the sweetness, that like tobacco-y charcoal note as well. And some of those apples, it just comes off while you're talking, while you're breathing, while you're sitting there just waiting for your next sip. It is great. And because of the 60% ABV, it helps it last a little longer. And you know, I love long-lasting finishes. So 5 on the finish, see what the value is. Value gonna be a little weird now. I got this bottle on whiskeyauction.com. The last bottle in that order I made a long time ago. This is not a standard size either. This is 50 CL. This is 500 milliliters. It's not the 700 or 750 that you're gonna get. It's also very difficult to find. And I got this for 88 euros. Comes out to about $94 US, but there were shipping costs involved. So I think the shipping ran around $45 to $50. We'll call it a cool 145 bucks. For a smaller size bottle, that's a bit high. For Edradour, it's still a little high, but you're not going to find this in the States, at least where I live. So it's a rarity to find something quite like this. It actually is the last wooden box release they have. They say sorry breeders on here. I guess they're tearing trees down to make their boxes. So that's another thing. It's kind of hard to find. And whatever is in this bottle, I think is a massive treat. If you like Edradour, if you like Scotch, if you like Highland, if you like wine, this brings all of that together in a fabulous experience that you will not regret. If you find and pay for this bottle, it is very good. So I'm going to give the value strictly because of the experience I got into this. And I probably would pay less for it than I would if I found it on a shelf in the States. So I'm going to give the value a 4. I know it's a little high. It's a smaller bottle, so I'm not going to go insane and go 4.5. But I think 4 is fair here. You're going to pay for harder to find whiskeys and smaller scaled distilleries, which is what they are. 100,000 liters of whiskey a year. That's not a lot. Seriously, they're very small, but they make insane things, and this one is no exception. So 4 on the value. Let's go with the overall. 18.5 out of 20. Great score. The only thing holding this thing back from getting into the 19s was the value. And it's really hard for me to decide what the value is, but I still think the 4 is pretty good to put in there. Really difficult to find, but again, Edradour makes incredible things. If you find them, seriously, whatever you're going to find off the shelf that says Edradour on it, it's going to be very good. Like, they're not sponsoring this video, but they are so good. I love them that much. And in fact, I think my wife is actually going to not hate this whiskey. She's a wine girl. This is a bright whiskey. It is a little hot, but it doesn't drink as hot. It doesn't drink as you would expect the 60% whiskey to go. It's very smooth in that regard, and it's poppy and it's bright. So I'm hoping she doesn't hate it, so we're gonna find out. Okay, well, I'm excited. I don't know if you're gonna be, but I like this. I think you might. It tastes to me like mimosas. Now, funny enough, the first take didn't record, so this is actually her 3rd sip, so we'll see what happens. She's at least warmed up at this point. She's not used to the very high ABV, but that was kind of the first 2 sips looked like for me. I thought she was gonna like it, but I think it's the hotness. I think this is probably around like 47%. She might not react that way, but anyway, if you like this video, give a like, not subscribed yet, consider doing so. See you guys next time.